Hello children, hope you all are fit and fine at your home and also are doing serious studies. Now these days when you have submitted the copies in the school for the correction, you can write in any of your home rough copies. And now we will going to study about the next topic of chapter 4, materials, metals and non-metals. So in the previous video, as you have already studied about the reaction of metals with oxygen, water, acids, bases and metal displacement reaction. I hope you all have understand that reactions and also are practicing how to balance the equation. But now in this video we will start the next topic of this chapter, that is reactivity series of metal. As I have already given the definition in the notes, reactivity series of metals. In the previous video you must have noticed that some of the metals are very reactive, some are moderate reactive and some are least reactive. Okay, so reactivity series is an arrangement of metals according to their reactivity. That means the metals which are most reactive are always placed at the top, the metals which are moderate reactive placed in the middle, and the metals which are least reactive placed in the bottom. Okay, so you can see here one series. This is called reactivity series, and here you can see the most reactive metal is, yes, of course, potassium, and the moderate reactives along with potassium, barium, calcium, sodium, magnesium, these all are also very reactive metals. These are the moderate reactive metals, which are aluminum, zinc, iron, nickel, tin, lead. Hydrogen is not a metal, it is a non-metal. But why it is kept here, I will tell you later. Why it is kept in reactivity series. So these all are moderate, from aluminum to lead. It is moderate reactive metal. These are highly reactive metal. And from copper to platinum, these are least reactive metal. But among these, platinum is the least one. Okay, so reactivity series is, as already mentioned, some metals are more reactive than others. The reactivity series of metal is an arrangement of metals in vertical column in order of decreasing reactivity. The reactivity series is also called activity series of metals. Reactivity is also called activity series of metals. In the activity series, the most reactive metal is placed at the top, whereas the least reactive metal is placed at the bottom. So children, as I have told you, that the most reactive metal always placed at the top of the reactivity series and the least reactive metal always placed at the bottom of the reactivity series. And here you can you see that which one is the least one among all these things, all this metal? So yes, that is platinum. Platinum is the least one, least reactive. That means it doesn't react with any of the things like water, like acid, like base, like oxygen, and with any things it doesn't show any reaction. Like that, gold also is not showing any reaction. That's why they are always found in free state in nature. Silver, gold, copper, platinum, these all are mostly found in the free state. But the most reactive metals like potassium, barium, calcium, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, these all are found in the combined state, because they have the stronger tendency to react with something. Okay, and they form the compound. They always have the tendency to form compound, to react with some other type of element. So that's why they are found in combined state in the nature, in the form of compound. But these metals are least reactive, so they are found in the free state in the nature, because they don't have the tendency to react with any of the things or materials. Now see, The more reactive metal has greater tendency to form compounds, so such metals are found only in the form of their compounds. Less reactive metals such as silver, gold and platinum are found in the free state in the earth crust. The activity series of some common metal is given on the left. So children, from this activity series, I think you have understand that which metal is more reactive, which metal is least reactive, and what are their tendencies. So now comes to the next page, that is page number 70. All you open this. There is some oral question, so let's solve this question first. After that we will go to the next topic. Name the metals which is stored under kerosene. So we have already discussed in the previous video the most reactive metals which are placed in kerosene are sodium and potassium. You can also write their chemical formula, that is Na and K. Okay, so Na for sodium, K for potassium. So you will ask that why is Na for sodium and K for potassium. So that is, their symbol is based on their Latin names, which you will study in the class 9. For sodium, the chemical name, the Latin name of sodium is natrium, so that's why Na, and the Latin name of potassium is kalium, that's why K. Now comes to second number question. Name two metals which can displace hydrogen from dilute hydrochloric acid. So from dilute hydrochloric acid, any metals can most reactive metals, those most reactive metals can displace the hydrogen. Okay, so you can write here Na, that is sodium, K, that is potassium, Mg, that is magnesium, etc. Zinc, like that. Magnesium and copper metals are heated directly over a flame. Which of the two will burn in the air? So children, if you remember, I taught you in class 7B that I think children from class 7B, those who are from class 7B maybe understand that when I show you that when magnesium burns in air, that is whenever we burn magnesium, you must have seen the dazzling light, dazzling white light. Okay, so among magnesium and copper metals are heated directly over a flame, which two will burn in the air? Of course, that is magnesium, Mg. The container of which metal should not be used for storing foodstuff? So the container which is made up of iron, Fe, zinc, copper and aluminium. These all, the container made up of iron, zinc, copper, aluminium should not contain the food stuff like pickles, chutneys, etc. Because as I told you, these pickles, chutneys, these all contain some amount of acid, weak acid. When you keep these food stuff in this container, they will produce some toxic or poisonous substance which is not good for our health. Okay, so that's why we should not keep these all food stuff in this type of container. Now comes to question number 5. Question number 5 is, what happens when a rod of zinc metal is dipped into a solution of copper sulfate? So that is what, when rod of zinc, can you tell me which one is more reactive, zinc or copper? Yes, I know that you are knowing zinc is more reactive than copper. So if you put zinc rod in copper sulfate solution, let's write the reaction. Zn plus copper sulfate, CuSO4. What will happen? As you know that zinc is more reactive, what it will do? It will take its salt, copper salt, and coppers will left alone because copper is less reactive than zinc. So it will form ZnSO4 plus Cu. So this type of reaction is called displacement reaction because zinc has displaced the sulfate ion from the copper sulfate solution and make its own sulfate solution. That's why it is called displacement reaction. So I hope all you have understand the chemical properties, chemical nature of metals. Now start with chemical properties of nonmetals. Some general chemical properties of nonmetals are described below. The first one is electronegative character. So children, electronegative. What do you mean by electronegativity? Actually, the tendency of a element to take electrons from the other element and always form the negative ions, that is called anions. That is called electronegativity. I think that you must have not understand maybe. Children, see, nonmetals are electronegative elements. Nonmetals have a tendency to accept electrons and form negative charged anions. So nonmetals, those nonmetals like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, these all have the tendency to take the electrons from other element. Okay, they never ever donate the electrons, but instead they are taking the electrons. Okay, see here, chlorine is a nonmetal, Cl plus, it has the tendency to take the electrons from the other metal, E minus. E is the symbol of electron. Okay, this is a electron, and form always negative ion, chloride ion, that is Cl minus. Oxygen have the capacity to take electrons. It can take 2 electrons, 2 E minus, and form oxide ion, that is O to the power 2 minus. So children, nonmetals always have the tendency to take the electrons from other. Okay, they never are giving electrons, but instead they are taking the electrons from the other and always make negative ions. Always you can see a negative sign over them. Whenever they take the electrons, always you can see negative sign on their top. So that is called the electronegative character of nonmetals. Okay, electronegative, because they always have negative character. They always take the electrons and always make negative sign at their top. But instead, metals are always having electropositive character, because they are always having the tendency to donate the electrons. They are never taking the electrons, but they are donating the electrons and always make positive ions. Okay, like Na minus E gives Na plus. Okay, sodium is a metal, and they always have the tendency to make electropositive ion, that is called cation. Okay, and always nonmetals have the tendency to form anions. This is the difference, that is called electronegative character. This is the first property of nonmetals. Now comes to this one. Thus, nonmetals are able to remove electrons from electropositive elements and act as an oxidizing agent. Okay, so nonmetals can easily remove the electrons from any of the element and act as an oxidizing agent. But there is one exception, that is hydrogen. As I told you in the previous page, that why hydrogen is kept here with the metals, because hydrogen is the only metal which can accept as well as donate the electron. Okay, whenever it accepts the electron, it makes hydride ions. When it donates the electron, it makes the hydrogen ion, H plus. Only hydrogen is the only non-metals which can accept as well as donate the electrons. But there is one more non-metal, that is carbon is also used as a reducing agent, as it also can donate the electrons sometimes in some special cases. Now oxidizing acidic oxide turns blue litmus red, whereas neutral oxide have no effect on the color of litmus. So children, as you already have studied in class 7 in acid base, that acids always have the tendency to turns the blue litmus into red, and there is no effect on the red litmus. Okay, and neutral oxide cannot turns any of the litmus paper. There are 5 main air pollutants are the oxides of nonmetals, such as CO, NO, NO2 and SO2. These are the oxide of nonmetals, which are the main pollutants which cause air pollution. Main pollutant of air pollution. NO and NO2 are, NO means that is nitric oxide, and this one is nitrogen dioxide are produced when petrol diesel is burned in an internal combustion of engine. These oxides cause irritation in eyes, throat and lungs and form smoke. Smoke means smoke plus fog. That means when the smoke of petrol and diesel which is comes out from the factories, industries or from the vehicles mixed with the fog, that forms smoke, okay, which is very dangerous for our health. Now comes to the next property of nonmetals, that is reaction with oxygen. So nonmetals react with oxygen to give covalent oxides. Such oxides are either neutral or acidic in nature. So children, nonmetals whenever react with oxygen, that makes covalent oxide. Covalent oxide means whenever nonmetals and oxygen react, they share their electrons, okay. There are two types of bonding, covalent bond and electronic bond. So in this non-metal contact, you can just remember this, that whenever non-metal react with oxygen, or further I will tell you, whenever they react with halogens also, whenever they react with hydrogen also, they always form covalent bond. That means they are sharing their electrons. About this covalency you will further study in your further classes, class 9. Such oxides are either neutral or acidic in nature. Children, one thing you remember, that when metals react with oxygen, they form basic oxide, okay, they form basic oxide. But when non-metals react with acid, they always form acidic or neutral oxide, acidic or neutral oxide. And some of the non-metals are reacting with oxygen with different condition, like nitrogen react with oxygen under different condition, 5 different condition. Some of these are neutral while others are acidic in nature. And this acidic oxide of nonmetal dissolve in water to form corresponding acids. Reaction of some common nonmetals with oxygen are described below. So children, as I told you that nitrogen react with oxygen under 5 condition and form 5 different oxide. Some are neutral and some are acidic. So let us see which are neutral and which are acidic. When nitrogen reacts with oxygen, okay, among these any of the following compound can form: nitrous oxide, nitric oxide, dinitrogen trioxide, nitrogen dioxide, dinitrogen pentoxide. So you may be asked that when nitrogen react with oxygen to make which type of compound, how we will sure that in which condition they will make which type of compound. So yes children, your answer is obvious. Actually what happen when nitrogen reacts with oxygen, sometimes they react with in room temperature, sometimes they react in hot temperature, sometimes they react in cool temperature, and during this temperature different compounds are formed, okay. Whenever the temperature is high, these reactions are taking place. When the reaction is cool, moderate, this reaction takes place. Cool down, these reactions takes place. And the oxide which is formed is this nitrous oxide and nitric oxide are neutral in nature, and this dinitrogen trioxide, nitrogen dioxide and dinitrogen pentoxide, all these are acidic in nature. And when dinitrogen pentoxide N2O5 dissolve in water, they form nitric acid, HNO3, okay, you can see here HNO3. So children, I think this is enough for today. We will continue our study in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.